All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to this next episode of Coping Together. I'm Mary. We're here with the co-host Faith, who you know. We're
Hey guys.
actually joined by one of our team members at Mental Health Association, Shawonda. She's our Reflections Peer Recovery Community Director. And we're also joined by Yasmin Flasterstein, the Executive Director and co-founder of Peer Support Space. And we're here today to talk about support groups. So with that said, Faith, I know you had a question that you wanted to ask Yasmin in particular.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Yasmin and Shawonda, first of all, thank you so much for being here. My question first is to Yasmin. I really am curious to know what is a support group, and then if you could kind of take us through what is your organization as a whole, Peer Support Space.
Yeah, so there's many types of support groups. There's all sorts of support groups. A support group is different than traditional therapy in that normally therapy is one-on-one, but with a support group, you have other people. So there's normally some sort of facilitator, whether they're a clinician or they're a peer, and then you have other people that have shared lived experience. So in addition to be able to share your own experiences, you're also able to hear experiences from other people that have similar experiences, which allows you sometimes to put language to stuff that you're going through or just kind of know that you're not alone. Peer Support Space is a new grassroots organization. We started February of 2019. We build diverse peer-led recovery communities. So we're an organization made entirely of people that have experience overcoming obstacles to mental wellness. And we have community gatherings, which are peer-led support groups for communities that are most affected by suicide and have the least access to quality services. And then we also have a drop-in center in Kissimmee. And we do events to destigmatize mental health, because if we don't destigmatize mental health, no one's going to use our services.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So yeah, Peer Support Space, they've helped so many people in the last year that they've been open. Do you have the number of how many people that you've served?
Yeah, so in just about a year and a half, we've served over 4,000 people with free services.
Wow, it's very impressive. And so, all those people are getting reached and they're getting help by people in these support groups. So it really goes to show that the reach that this organization has is really impactful.
Kind of building on that.
Yeah.
Oh, so sorry.
No,
kind of building on that, Yasmin, I'm really curious as well. With everything going on right now with quarantine and with COVID, it sounds like Peer Support Space is very engaging with the community. How are you maintaining that? And I'm sure this is true for a lot of support groups. And Shawonda, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well after Yasmin. But how are you guys maintaining that community engagement right now?
Yeah, so I think COVID has highlighted something that Peer Support Space has always known, and that's that people need to connect with other people. So very quickly, when we did have to shut down our in-person services, all of our community gatherings, which are population specific, went virtual. And then we've also been providing digital communal gatherings at 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. Monday to Saturday. And we've actually had over 100 calls with over 600 people, nearly 700 people since the beginning. So these are just general check-in calls. People take turns holding space and they get to say if they just wanted to vent or if they're open to feedback or advice. And then we also have additional calls that are activity specific. So like people that heal through creative writing or different stuff like that. And all of those groups can be found on our website.
Wow, that's really awesome. Thank you. And so to add to that, Shawonda, can you tell us a little bit about the Mental Health Association support groups and how are we kind of, how are you in leading our team keeping the community engaged?
Our peer groups have also went virtual, and that's the way we are staying connected right now. We have our anxiety groups and our depression groups, which run daily. We have 2 different groups during the day, 1 to 2 and 3 to 4. And also we have space for our clients to come on and share their experiences and things that they're going through, how they're coping with this COVID-19. We also have our warm line, which runs every day. Also, for clients to call in and we're staying connected that way too also, for them to call in with their cares and concerns. And if it's something that I'm not able to help with, I also refer them to Mental Health Association, there you guys take over and give out referrals to our clients. But yeah, everything right now is virtual, and that's how we're staying connected.
Well, that's,
Wow.
yeah. Well, when this happened, we knew that there was really no choice other than to continue doing these services and transition onto an online format, because we knew at this time, our community members needed these resources more than ever. And with that said, Shawonda, can you kind of elaborate on like the different kinds of support groups, like who is facilitating them?
Sure. I facilitate the groups, which I'm a certified peer specialist. So I facilitate the groups, our anxiety and depression groups, which we gather together, men and women, with lived experiences, and we talk about their experiences, their struggles, their challenges, and we give space for each client to talk about how they're dealing and how they're coping. And we also have our expressive arts group, which we have not facilitated virtual yet. We're working on that, you and I.
Mm-hmm.
We're working on that, and I'm excited about our expressive arts group, which we get together. We have different events, art events, and we're trying to collaborate, trying to get something together where we can go online with our clients to bring back our expressive arts. Also, I also facilitate the People's Inc. group, which we have not run virtual as of yet. The People's Inc. was designed for people with schizophrenia, any type of psychotic symptoms, it qualifies for any clients that's affected by their ability to think, feel, or they can't behave clearly. So we're probably going to wait till we resume in the office to continue our People's Inc. Group. But our expressive arts we're working on, and our depressions and anxiety groups run daily from 1 to 2 and 3 to 4. We're very excited about that. We have daily groups, and it's very exciting. It's exciting to hear about the challenges that people are facing with COVID-19. Like I said, we open the floor for everyone to share their struggles and their experiences as we go forward with this COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
To kind of add to that real quick, I really want to commend you both, and thank you for sharing with us that it seems like one of the big things that support groups, at least from your perspective, and I'm sure a lot of other support groups or most other support groups encourage, is that that open floor of people are able to come, and if they want to talk, they want to vent about what they're going through, they have that room to do so. And you create a safe space for them, and I think that's really important that you're doing that. One thing I want to ask both of you, particularly Yasmin with Peer Support Space, have you seen a difference in the dynamics since you guys went virtual? Have you seen a difference in participation amount, whether that's positive or negative? I'd love to hear more about how you guys have observed a difference in all of this happening with quarantine.
Yeah, so we've had a lot of learning curves in going virtual. We really had to adapt quickly to the times. But we learned that virtual is actually better for some people. For example, we have our group Diversability, which is for people with chronic pain conditions or chronic mental health conditions. And we had a larger attendance virtual than we ever did in person. And that's because this is a community that may struggle getting to an in-person group if they're having high levels of pain that day. There's other groups where it's more difficult. Our autism group is currently suspended because they don't want to meet virtual. A lot of autistic adults struggle with oversensory and, having this kind of Zoom fatigue and people talking all over the place. That was a lot for that community. So we're learning that it's actually more helpful for some communities and difficult for other communities. Of course, we've loved connecting with people. We've had people call us from Texas, Massachusetts,
Wow.
California. We've even had a regular from Paris that's been joining our calls. So it's been really nice to connect with new people from all over, but also people that used to be a part of our peer community and moved away and, are able to reconnect and are really excited to see their old friends. So after this, we're certainly going to continue having some virtual resources past COVID. We see it as an ongoing need, but it's been kind of interesting and kind of cool to see how different people like or don't like the virtual resources. But it's meeting people where they're at. For our group, it's okay if your video is off. One of our group rules is that you don't have to share, that you can just pass. So it allows people to kind of see what it's about before feeling like they have to be a part of the group. So digitally, it kind of allows you to do things you couldn't do before, like screen share wholesome videos or different stuff like that. So it's really been a learning curve, and I've really been enjoying connecting with people that otherwise may have not used our in-person services, whether because of agoraphobia or anxiety or just their geographical location.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds like out of this situation that we're in, it's kind of a lot of us have learned, and you included, that this is kind of, this virtual format it's like a new tool to help reach these communities and help reach people and get these resources to be more accessible. And it's certainly something that we can continue doing even after we don't have to be socially
isolated, distanced.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I was
Sorry.
about to say isolated, but I like distance better.
Distancing is, and I think wording, sorry to jump in, wording is important right now in perspective.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that in a couple of our videos, that just a shift in perspective can help. But one thing I want to ask you guys both, and again, thank you so much for everything you've shared so far. What would be your advice to someone who currently has, maybe they've never been to therapy, they've never had any interest in support group, but they're considering now the possibility of getting involved in a support group? What would you say to them? Like, what advice do you have or anything like that for someone who thinks that they might want to join a support group?
Well, I too have, my clientele have increased with the virtual groups. I'm excited about that. And I have had clients that come on that have never considered groups. My advice would be, it's a time that you could actually share without anyone diagnosing you. It's your turn to come on and just share your lived experience and talk about, your challenges and things that you're facing. And I think people are more open to that. I think that's why we have had a flood of clients coming in on the virtual groups. It's their time to just really speak and be free to, talk on what they feel. So Yasmin thinks about that, but I think that's what I encourage people. It's your time to talk. Just talk freely. And that encourages them. So people that email me, all the clients that email me and explain the groups to them, I explain how our groups go, and then they come on. Because they've never did the social groups before, but now they come on because they feel like, okay, I can talk. No one has a subject. There's no title. I can just come on and talk about my lived experiences and my challenges.
Okay. Yasmin, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think that something that's really important to highlight when we talk about mental health and wellness is that we all heal differently. So, what works for one person isn't necessarily what works for another. Sometimes I like to relate finding the right mental health resource for you, like dating. It might be a really good resource, but just not the resource for you. Or they might be a really good therapist or group facilitator, but they're just not one for you. So like dating, you just have to kind of try it out and find what works for you. So my advice for people that are trying out support groups is, give it a go, give it a try. If you don't like it, find something else, but just don't give up in finding a resource that works for you. And maybe try a few support groups. All of them have kind of a different energy, a different facilitator, but you're worth investing in yourself. Something that I kind of hear a lot of people on groups say is, you know, they vent about what they're struggling with, and then they apologize and say, I know other people have it worse. But these resources are available. The ones through Peer Support Space and Mental Health Association are totally free. We're not at capacity, so these resources are available to you, and you are just as worthy of using those resources as somebody else.
I think it's really important what you just said there, if I may add to that, or just kind of comment on it, that you make a really good analogy actually with dating, that you have to find what works for you. And I think that, especially with what you're saying about, you know, just giving it a shot, and it's investing in yourself, that this is almost one of those ways that you are taking care of yourself. And so I guess, what would you say to someone who's not sure if they should go to therapy or go to a support group? Should they try both? I know you said that one thing that plays a role in that is finances, but can you elaborate a little bit more on the differences, I guess, between therapy and support groups?
Yeah, so one thing in general is just like, there are so many options for mental health. A lot of people think mental health and they think therapy, medication. And I'm not downing either of those, because I'm someone who personally benefits from both of them. But there's also gardening and cooking and crystal healing and equine therapy and just all sorts of stuff. And it tends to be for people, from what I've seen, that it's not one thing that works, but it's kind of a combination of stuff. You know, so just kind of put yourself out there and see, you know, what options there are, and see what combination of those work for you. You know, we talked a little bit about the difference between clinical and a peer group. A clinical group is going to be run by a therapist, someone who's a licensed mental health counselor or a licensed clinical social worker. And there's a million styles and types of therapists within that. What's really cool with a peer specialist is that there's someone with lived experience, and the peer model is one of mutuality, where there's not a power dynamic. I'm no better than you. I don't have the answers. I'm not here to fix you. An analogy I like to use for peer services, sorry, I obviously like analogies, is that—
I love analogies.
I love a good analogy. But, you know, your job isn't to make the rain go away. It's to walk with someone through the rain. And one thing I really like about peer services, because it's somebody who's been there before, for communities, especially communities where mental health is so deeply stigmatized, and there might be kind of a history of having negative experiences with the mental health system, it's just more approachable to talk to somebody who's been there before, oftentimes. So a peer group is going to be one where, you know I'm doing my peer group right, where when somebody talks, they don't all just look at me after. It's really a community dialogue, and, you know, everybody's looking to one another for support.
Exactly. I also have experience where some of the clients, after they come on and they're not really comfortable with the virtual groups, being a certified peer specialist, I offer the one-on-one peer support. So I have been doing a lot of the one-on-one peer support, and they appreciate that. And they're more comfortable with that because, like you said, we're here. We meet them where they are. I'm right here with you. I'm no better than you. I'm just here to walk with you, to support you, to encourage you. And that's what we do. And that's what we do as peer specialists. And they appreciate that. And we do offer that. I do offer that through our resources, through our program.
It's like a neutral, like, supporter.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you both so much for elaborating on that, and for sharing what, kind of describing what a peer specialist is. For me, I think those are all the questions that I have. Mary, did you have any more questions about anything?
No, I think that you guys answered all the questions we had beautifully. I'm just so grateful that both of you have come on and talked about this today.
Yeah, if I could plug just one more resource I forgot, along with our daily digital communal gatherings and our community gatherings that are population specific, we also have a Facebook group, Peer Support Space online group, where people have been commenting with their struggles and then supporting other people by commenting words of affirmation or advice for them. So that's also available on Facebook. It's called Peer Support Space online group. And just thank you guys for hosting this, for highlighting an option of wellness, and for continuing these dialogues. I think mental health is really stigmatized, and I think the best way to destigmatize mental health is just by starting conversation. So I appreciate this series that you're doing, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys so much.
Thank you so much. One thing I do want to add, because Yasmin, you make an excellent point. I do agree that your mention of your Facebook group for Peer Support Space is very awesome. And I've noticed a lot actually, and if maybe it's just Facebook has been really good about supporting this and encouraging this, is I've seen a lot of Facebook groups for just different topics, people who are recovering from grief or dealing with coping with grief, anxiety, whatever it is. So if you're interested in support groups, if you're interested in anything, I encourage you to just give it a try and know that you're not alone. These people here with us today are an excellent example of people who have lived experiences, and they're here and they're passionate about doing those things to help, as Yasmin said, to make that walk through the rain a little bit easier on you. So thank you both so much for, sharing a little bit about what you do, sharing your information you have about support groups. And again, if you guys have any questions about anything, please let us know in the comments below. Please be sure to check out Peer Support Space. They are an awesome resource that exists. And thank you to Yasmin for helping co-found that. Please check out Shawonda's groups if you're interested. And as always, we are your hosts, Mary and Faith. And we just appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
You. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.